What is up, everybody? Welcome to this Euro 2025 recap video here on Touchline Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the content going up on the channel. It took more drama, another come from behind win, a penalty shootout, but it is England who defeats Spain, defends its title as champions of Europe, and wins Euro 2025. And to me, there's really only one place to begin, and that is by going back to the start of this tournament and really appreciating the journey that this team went on. You lose game one against France. You are effectively playing an elimination game in game two, especially if you lose. That could have sent you home right there. You're playing another really good team in the Netherlands who can absolutely beat you. You know the pressure is on. So basically, from game two of this tournament, and of course, England performed very well in that game, they still had to go do it again against Wales to even get to the knockout stage. So from game two, you are playing, effectively, elimination games. To do that twice to get to the knockout stage. To come from two behind against Sweden to get to the semis. To be trailing late against Italy in the semis and turn that game around. And then to fall behind to the reigning World Cup champions, the best team in the world, get the equalizer, get through extra time, and get to a penalty shootout and win it. To go through that entire span without losing a game, both from a getting through 90 minutes with the score at least tied, and from the entire knockout stage. They were playing high stakes, 50-50 propositions here. The probability, just objectively, of coming through three consecutive games that go to extra time, two of which go to a penalty shootout, to survive three in a row is incredible. And of course, it takes a lot of fortune, good fortune. I'll put it that way, right? I mean, most penalty shootouts, what they did against Sweden is not good enough. And they get sent home right then and there. But somehow, someway, they found a way to do this. And that really gets me to the two main points I want to talk about with this. Number one is Sarina Wiegman. And once again, this idea of being a multi-dimensional team and the way that she approaches the job. You have to be able to win multiple ways, to have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, to adjust to whatever's going to happen in knockout tournaments, because things are going to happen. And this team was such a good example of that, and she embodies that. Because it didn't go well most of the time. They didn't play well most of the time. But because of the belief that she has instilled in this team, because of the depth of this team, because of the way she used that depth, they were able to consistently go flip games on their head when they needed to, right? So go back to the Netherlands game. It's just this team in all its glory. Lauren James, fantastic. They played brilliant. You get to the knockout stage against two teams that you should beat in Sweden and Italy, and your starting lineup just wasn't getting it done. So you go bring on three new attackers. Chloe Kelly, Michelle Ajimong, Beth Mead. And Mead was certainly the third part of that because of the central roles that Kelly and Ajimong ended up playing. But those two players saved you time and time again. And it was the right decision to not put them in the starting lineup. Because you don't win the games in the first 55, 60, 75 minutes all the time. And you have to be able to do something different when you get put in the positions England were put in. and you have to not lose your belief in your connective tissue and your DNA and your culture as a program. The way that they did this is truly special, and I don't believe there are many groups of coaches, players, many teams that can do what this team just did. That makes this really special. Because nobody's going to remember how poorly they played in this tournament. They're going to remember the fact that they won it, and the drama and the comebacks and the resilience and the toughness and all of these things that this team was trying to tell you they were about. The proper English mentality, right? That was the theme of this tournament. And it is the story of this tournament. It's not that they were great. It's that they just kept finding ways to win and kept finding ways to pull themselves out of holes, many of which were self-inflicted. And so that part of this is really special. That it was a true collective effort. That starting lineup could not have done this without the subs. It's Agyemang's goals. It's Chloe Kelly's assists. It's Chloe Kelly scoring ultimately the game-winning penalty here against Spain. Very fitting. That is something really special to see. And the second part of this, I also want to just applaud this group of players as people. It's not something we do enough of. But just think of the journey that this group has been on in multiple different ways that all kind of tie together here. You lose game 1 to France. All of a sudden, right, the entire country expects you to at least get to the final. You're one of the favorites. Now you're staring at the possibility of going home in the group stage. You managed to get through that. You have a stinker against Sweden. You managed to get through that. Then you almost lose to Italy, who have really never been in this position before and are nowhere near your level. You manage to get through that, and you find a way to take down Spain. And in the middle of this, not only is there just the mental challenge and the emotional toll that each of those games took and the ability to come back and go do it again and to never lose belief that you can continue to come back and continue to win these games. But there are these stories within this of the racial abuse that Jess Carter took after a really bad performance. Of course, that does not justify or in any way excuse the awful treatment that she received online. But there was an on-field performance aspect of finding a way to pick yourself up. No player should ever have to deal with what she dealt with. But even if there was no abuse, it was clearly a really poor game that she had against Sweden. Her teammates came and rallied to her defense. They were unified in their stance that this is never okay, that we are a team. We should all be treated fairly respectfully, and we should not be subject to this stuff. We're going to keep calling it out as it continues to happen. They did everything you could ask to be a unified team, standing with their teammate in solidarity and against racism. And Jess Carter comes back and has a very solid final. With all of this other stuff that she have never... There's the mental challenge of just knowing you're not playing your best. And then there's all the other stuff that she never in a million years should have to deal with. And unfortunately, she does. And the mental toll that takes on everybody within that camp and all of her teammates who care about her. There's that part of it. And then there's the Chloe Kelly side of this. The Chloe Kelly was probably at the lowest point in her life. That move to Arsenal may have saved her career. I don't know any details, so I'm not going to definitively say that, but I think there's a strong argument, and that she might agree with that. She gets on the team, she embraces her role, and she just continues to deliver and was a crucial part of this team winning another Euros. A year ago, would anybody have thought that was going to happen? Her ability to continue to keep going and battle through everything that she has been fighting, all the frustration, the doubts, all of it. You saw how much this meant to her. It is a really powerful, in multiple ways, from what this team had to endure from an online racial abuse standpoint, from some of the individual stories, particularly Chloe Kelly's. It's a truly powerful story of perseverance and resilience. And to me, that is the story. Because, again, they were not impressive. And that's the beauty of knockout tournaments, is that it doesn't matter. The final thing I will say about this. The one difference here that I do believe matters and needs to be acknowledged is when England's men's team plays poorly and just can't get anything going in attack, you feel like there is just something that is being left in the tank, at least during the Gareth Southgate era. We're going to see with Thomas Tuchel. But you felt like there was just more that Southgate was refusing to tap into there. With this women's team, it does not feel that way. Yeah, they have shaky moments. It's not always perfect. They have some ups and downs. They were trying to do this with a new set of leadership. Some of those players who have been really, really important parts of this journey are not there. Whether it's Jill Scott, Millie Bright, Mary Earps, right? Crucial parts of this team and this team's identity. They had to grow into those roles. Alessia Russo had to take much more responsibility. You've got a new goalkeeper. You've got obviously a very experienced defense, but a defense that has not done this at the Euros before. It looked a little bit different. They had different roles the last time they won this tournament. You can go on and on with this. But they had to find a way, and it always felt like it was more self-inflicted than anything else. That if they could figure out how to just get to the next level, flip the switch, start playing up to their potential, that they could get back in games. And that's why it never feels like they're out of them. It's because you know it is fixable, and you have seen this team fix it time and time again. You don't feel like they're leaving anything out there. They're giving you everything they've got. And they are trying to play and they are trying to attack. It doesn't feel like they're holding anything back. And that is a real compliment. And ultimately, it was enough to win this tournament. Which gets me to the last part of this, and that is Spain. I've talked about this time and time again, but it is worth bringing up here. That core group of Barcelona/Spain players, it is the most important players on both teams for the most part, certainly on the Spain team, right? It is the stars. It's not like on the men's team when they won the consecutive tournaments and it was sort of half Barcelona, half Real Madrid, right? There was a Iker Casillas, a Sergio Ramos, a Dani Carvajal, etc. This team is driven by its Barcelona players. They've been up and down in the Champions League. Just got upset by Arsenal. Many of these England players on that team. Many of these England players that couldn't get into England's starting lineup. Beth Mead, Chloe Kelly on that team. And not the best team in England. They have a lead in this game. They lose to England. And all of a sudden, after getting eliminated and having a bad Olympics last summer, and it's this very parallel story at the club and international level here, where it took them a while to get to the top. They got to the top. It felt like the world was theirs. And now they're continuing to come up short again. And all of a sudden, the overall body of work for this group of incredible players doesn't feel the same. England now have 2 of the last 3 major tournaments that they've played in. they have the champions, both the European Championship and the Champions League right now. And of course, it's a little bit different because Arsenal obviously have key players from other countries. It's not quite the same. Barcelona are much closer to the Barcelona-Spain connection is much tighter. But this was the rematch. This was the opportunity for Spain to go claim the Euros and the World Cup. 2 victories in 3 tournaments. Okay, you had a bad Olympics. That happens. Certainly the expectation is not to win every single tournament. But it just feels so much different now. Having lost 2 major finals, one at the club level, one at the international level, in the span of a few months here, to English opposition. And teams that you, on paper and performance-wise, are better than. It's not like England blew them away in this game. Spain didn't blow England away either. It was pretty even. And obviously the numbers are going to be skewed in Spain's favor because that's just how they play. I don't care too much about that part of it. But there are some real questions to be asked here because you feel like this team should be getting more out of this group of players. And of course, it's not ending anytime soon. You've got a bunch of incredible young players coming through who are now starting to play bigger roles on this team. They're going to be a problem for years to come. But it felt like they were this dominant force that could not be stopped. Kind of like the men's team was in that, 6-year stretch or whatever. Where they were just clearly the class of the world. And they were above everybody else. And that is just not where we are. England are right there. The U.S. won the Olympics. And is going to have something to say at the next World Cup. And Emma Hayes is doing a phenomenal job. This is very much up for grabs. And I'm not sure you can actually look at this and say Spain are the best team in the world. And at the same time, I'm not sure that I refuse to go take this tournament and say, well, England are better. Because they did not play better in this tournament. Spain weren't great either. This was a very, very, very competitive tournament, which was a really good thing for European women's soccer. Italy nearly knocked out the team that won. Spain had to go 90 plus minutes, right? Had to go into extra time to get past Germany. Germany had to fight their way through to get that opportunity against the odds. It was super, super, super competitive. Sweden might have won this tournament if they had gotten past England. You can talk yourself into 3, 4, 5 different teams that easily could have won this. That's what made it such a great tournament. It was just never-ending drama. The margins were so, so slim. And in that kind of environment, give me Sarina Wiegman, give me the Lionesses. And that's ultimately how this played out. Somehow, some way, they found a way to do it. England, European champions, once again. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time.